It's actually a great shot.
Oh, come on.
It's because of all of our laptops.
Well, no,
Sucking
I'm
up the
just
Wi-Fi.
using my phone signal, not the
I love that crapheads in my town know who I am.
What?
I love that crapheads in my town know who I am.
Crapheads.
Yeah.
I thought you said crackheads. I'm like,
Well, could be the same thing. I don't know this guy. So here's the situation. I have a former client. You guys know the kind of counseling work that I do.
Yes.
Who has been posting humiliating things about his ex on his Facebook page. So I replied this morning, hey, that's exactly the kind of thing we talked about dozens of times. And you can stop it right now. So one of his friends responds to my post, Trump 2020.
of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Showing us exactly who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
They don't glom onto the word deplorables for nothing.
No. Yeah, and I went after your friend John Whitten the other day for something that really, he made a mistake, but I called him out for something, and it turned out that there was a typo, so he says, that he identified Joaquin Phoenix as Jacqueline Phoenix. He was being derogatory about Joaquin Phoenix, so I said, hey, it's pretty funny that you feel like you need to feminize somebody's name to prove your case. You have to make them into a woman because they deserve less treatment. Oh, it was a typo. It's like,
Yeah.
Okay, dude.
So-
pretty every other thing that guy's posted, I'm not sure I can do that.
Yeah, no, I think a healthy bit of skepticism is allowed.
Yeah.
So, Casey, morning, Marion, good morning. Dave, no YouTube this morning because we can't actually go live from the YouTube channel with our phones until we hit 1,000 subscribers, which is why we keep asking for subscribers. If everybody who was a fan of the So Local page just went over and subscribed to the YouTube page, we will be good. Since then, this is kind of more of a YouTube subscriber drive. We'll throw the channel in the comments. Anybody who sees this later, feel free to head over there and just hit subscribe. And once we get up to that level, we should be able to do that.
So is that an orange Yeti? And I went, oh, he meant the coffee cup.
And yes,
Yeah, we're doing it old school with the phones from Starbucks this morning, Dave. So no YouTube for us this morning.
Yahoo!
Look who we found. It's Dino. It's like an old homeschool,
Old school.
Reunion
Yes.
of the Coffee on the Dock
So-
originating gang.
Yeah, this is.
We got to talk about
This
something.
feels normal.
It does. It feels
Let's talk about
it
how
feels like
wimpy my
coming
friends
home.
are. That, oh, it's raining. No coffee refills. Can we talk about that?
No.
I feel like you're
I was like, let's go to a park.
You
Let's
already
go to a park.
did it. I bet you're right. I'll eat that humble sandwich.
Yeah, I wanted us to go live from like.
But like, I'm on my second coffee and I got whatever the fuck this is. I'm pretty excited about this. So like,
Yeah. So
yeah, I whipped
Greg,
out. That's
Greg
fair.
wanted to do something very Florida-rific and go from one of our many beautiful parks and sit on the dock alongside one of our beautiful tributaries and submersed in our beautiful wildlife. And Corey and I were like, yeah, we need coffee.
It's raining.
It's raining.
That was a direct translation.
That's exactly how it sounded in the chat buffer.
It probably sounded a little more whiny than that.
It was fine. It's fine. I get it. And you know what? We like this is sort of. They all
It'll
we
be a
show up
lot
and
more
they're like.
lively conversation.
It's like Cheers when we walk in here. Everybody knows our names.
It is.
So that's cool.
That doesn't suck.
I'm actually the customer of the month. If you look over
Yes.
on the board,
I saw that
I'm very
last
proud
time I
of
was in
myself.
here. Congratulations. Who'd you have to bribe for that?
Hey, we're like-
Nobody
we're
actually
like the
did keep
dude
an eye on me because they.
Mom just said it's good to see the squad back together. We're like the dude squad.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, we got the
Not
back.
anywhere near as hot or as cool in politics, but we
Yeah.
mean well.
We would love you guys to go over to the link that Corey just put up for our YouTube channel and subscribe our YouTube channel.
They get you.
Because we need 1,000 people before we can do live broadcasts from our phones and a few other nifty things we want to accomplish.
How many people have liked So Local?
Over 1,000. Yeah,
So this could happen today.
it could.
This will happen today.
It will
Oh, I
not,
forgot my
but I
crystal
love
of
your- I love
manifestation.
your
I meant to bring my crystal of manifestation. with us.
Okay, so no, I don't want to talk about crystals, but
They're the best cheap hamburgers in America.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
all right,
yeah,
all right,
yeah.
all right, good. Okay.
Yeah.
The best
Southern White Castle.
$500 hamburgers in the world.
Southern White Castle.
No, I really want to talk about the Church of Reason and tell Dino about that whole story because somehow Dino did not know about this.
I did not know. I've
which
been
is
out of the loop. Like I need to be.
obscene. Well, no, you've been like creating crazy freaking Dharma drum feeling. It's been busy, which is fine. I'm okay with it.
Oh, by the
Oh,
way,
hey, check this
Dave,
out.
we're safe to talk about the amazing logo because he knows that we saw it. So.
Oh. I am so glad that Davis is nearly as excited about it as I am. Dave Myers just does amazing work. I am so grateful.
And has consistently done that for us for like 5 years now.
And he's just
Yeah. He's the bum. There's no way around it.
The coffee on the EM drive with the coffee, you know.
Like that's iconic to this millisecond. I freaking love that thing.
What's even crazier that he took a dream that I had and made that into a reality. Like that was crazy. That was insane.
This is our cathedral of reason.
We are looking at.
I was gonna tell the whole story.
Okay, I just want to show him some pictures.
No, it's good for context for sure.
Oh, I'm gonna be geeking out.
Yeah, so we've been talking for a while on the show about doing interviews in video games, right? Because we're sort of seeing that this is gonna be a thing that happens.
Yes, yes.
So, we try, well, what if we did it in Fortnite or whatever, and then it would be only funny because, and this is, whenever Greg and I hang out in Fortnite, it's literally just, God damn it, shit, God damn it.
Just us getting killed.
Like,
By
7-year-olds murking us every 5 seconds, right? Which is basically like 2 old rabbits running around in fear for their lives. Not gonna make necessarily a good interview. But then we started thinking, okay, what we really need to do is get a Minecraft. People can show up there, we can sort of, create a project. The initial project, we were going to do this in secret. We were going to have people come in and basically help us build simple things, right? So take this red block and go in a line until you hit where we have another post, right? So what we were going to do is write out a giant impeach the motherfucker on the ground and not tell anyone, right? So we were going to have interviews and do that whole thing. So we get in there, and Bob Benson, who's a huge fan of the Moving Forward podcast and is part of this community now too. He was already playing Minecraft, came into the server where we were kind of testing things out and messing around, and he builds this wooden pillar and puts a box in the bottom with a bunch of signs in it and said, "This is a gratitude shrine." So you get a sign out of the box, and you put a gratitude up on this shrine, and it'll be in this game forever. And I was like, cancel everything.
Yes.
The minute we started thinking about it becoming a gratitude space, we stopped thinking about the giant fuck Trump thing. It was weird.
Yeah.
We didn't notice until 3 days later. We're like, yeah, we haven't said a word about that.
Because what happened was, I was like, well, one's not going to be enough. So I built like a little park and basically built like a bunch more, right? And you can see it in the pictures now where all that stuff is around there.
Right.
Like, and then it was still in like baddies mode, so there's like stuff kept coming, so we needed a wall to keep all the shitty things out or whatever, which became this massive cathedral thing. And if you look in the back window of the cathedral is a giant stained glass motif of Carl Sagan's Pale Blue Dot, made by this motherfucker right here. It's awesome. So every Sunday now, we get together.
That's the sweep of Rings of Saturn and then White Dot for Earth.
Yes.
And so these are, like, so people now are just invited to come in on Sunday mornings and put gratitude up on these shrines.
Or if they
will
don't
never
have a
go
game,
away.
they can tell us on the live stream, because we live stream it, and then we'll put one up for them. So Dino's going to now go download Minecraft Java Edition. Is what you need. Yeah. So have you seen Alex's house?
No. Is it intense?
You can't miss it.
Okay, where is it?
I'm not telling you.
What do you mean?
It's going to be hilarious to see how long it takes you to find it.
I don't wander very much.
Yeah, you should.
All right.
It's really close to the cathedral.
Really close to the cathedral.
Yep. I know, but still. I'm not telling you anymore. You have to go and look for it.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to talk about that some, Deb.
The only other thing, Dino, with the church stuff is, so we've done 4 services now. We do secular sermons every Sunday, where there's no woo or anything. It's just, mind hacks and gratitude and awe. And
I'm cool with this.
readings from Carl Sagan's Pale Blue Dot was the first one, which was really cool. And of course, everybody coming in to do gratitude. But the first time, my Aunt Gail was on the YouTube feed sitting there with my niece and nephew, and they basically just like had gratitudes to write on. So I was taking their gratitudes from YouTube and putting it up on the shrine, and
It's moving. And we went back to Sagan this week, and I read some stuff from The Demon Haunted World,
Okay.
which is, there's a really negative post about where our culture is going from that book. But there's like a dozen other really amazing things he says about where we are in that book that I thought were important. So we shared some of those.
Well, the reality is not all positive. You know, the reality is that there are some negative. You know, there is some negative movement.
Yeah,
And
it's
so,
that
I
long
mean,
quote of his that he says about surrendering our ability to reason,
Right.
Falling back into the dark ages because we ignore science about things like, I don't know, vaccinations. And he said this in the 1980s, 1989, 1990. So the internet was, wide internet access was a brand new thing right then.
Yeah.
And he saw it coming, which is by very Carl Sagan-ish. I would recommend all of Carl's nonfiction books. They're all amazing.
agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, Donaldson, I was looking right at his house at first and didn't even see it.
All right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
actually already missing not making my ridiculous geometric figure that we started.
While we are, while she's here, we should make sure and say, hey, congratulations to Lelania and all of the hardworking
Yes.
Bernie volunteers who made an amazing thing happen in New Hampshire yesterday.
Yep.
They won pretty handily the popular vote in New Hampshire.
Did they?
Yep.
Okay.
The delegate count is going to be pretty close, but as far as the popular vote, Bernie's people were really on it.
I mean, they were on it like 4 years ago.
Yeah. And there's talk this morning about he didn't get as much of the vote. Well, yeah, there's 6 other people in the race this time. That wasn't the case.
More, right? Like,
right.
right.
So amazing job by all of those folks. I guess we're going to have to all start learning more about Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar.
Okay, hot take. We don't have to learn anything else about Amy Klobuchar. Here's why. Super Tuesday is 2 weeks away. She doesn't have anywhere near enough money to compete.
Okay.
Right? Like that. And
Okay,
again, I could be
wait,
wrong there,
stop,
but
okay,
like,
stop. Between 10 o'clock last night and midnight,
Yeah.
she raised $2.3 million in 2 hours.
it won't be enough. Right
see.
now, like,
We'll see.
Bernie's got organization literally everywhere. Warren, as we've seen, has organization in a lot of places,
Right.
but might not be raising as much money. And what's really fun is, like, we all face facts now. Biden is dead. Not that I called that early on, but I
Yeah.
did. It's gonna totally. That's like the only piece of predictive.
Well, okay, but there's another thing in
points
play
that I
here.
get right now.
There's another thing in play here is there are lots of donors that were supporting candidates who have now dropped out.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
that's true.
That money's got to go somewhere. Those people are got to decide who to support. And so I don't think she's
possible.
done till after Super Tuesday.
Oh no, she'll run through Super Tuesday, but Super Tuesday is where that's going to get proven.
And each of these that she does, places second or third in, increases the number of people that are going to donate to her or wherever. So
Right. No. And so I guess we see sort of how she lands in South Carolina, Nevada, and then maybe you're right. It actually does that.
yeah. So
but
we
I mean,
do
for
have
all
to
we
learn
know,
more about Klobuchar.
Maybe. I mean, honestly, like I think there's a really good possibility because Buttigieg, his entire organizational plan was based primarily around Iowa and New Hampshire, and his one. I don't know how he's going to do in Nevada, but I do know that in South Carolina he's going to be a non-issue, right? So like, how's that going? Like, we're going to probably go into Super Tuesday being like, hey, how's the race going? And we're going to be like, wow, Bernie's doing pretty good, and that's all I think we're going to know.
Yep. Casey Mary says New Hampshire moderates 53%, progressive 33%. Is that turnout, or is that how they vote?
Yeah, that's breakdown, and I unless the Democratic Party can coalesce around a moderate very quickly, that stat isn't going to matter.
Yeah, Maria watched the Bernie victory speech last night. Holy cow, the energy in that room, it reminded me of Obama's energy vibe. You're not wrong. His people are super excited.
they're
And I think
excited.
maybe we need to stop calling them his people and calling them, our people, because I think this is the corner turn on, if it's not Bernie, I'm voting for Trump, or I'm just not voting. I'm interested to see where the Yang gang lands here. And Corey was deep in his feels last night about Andrew Yang exiting the race. And
yeah.
Last night.
some reminders about that. Andrew Yang went from having zero public face to being a legitimate on the debate stage contender for the presidency of the United States of America, and that is an incredible thing. And it's a testament to how hard people worked on his behalf out there in the world. And I know they're all disappointed, but I hope that they will find their way to understanding that they are a part of this conversation, and taking your toys and going home means you don't want to be a part of that conversation.
No, and and this, like,
I was so proud of the Yang gang last night. You know what was number one trending on Twitter last night? Yang 2024.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Pasco Yang gang were kind of still in a state of mourning, but, like, that's something that we have to, like, talk about and get behind. There's still some, there's still some momentum, like, we can continue forward. So
there's tons of work to do now. I mean, I'm gonna get Scott Stanton's on the Movie 4 podcast. Like, Movie 4 podcast isn't gonna slow down. The vast majority of the reaction I saw last night was like, this is the only reason why I got back into politics, and now I'm awake now. Now what? Right. And then what is?
And this is something
UBI,
that we wanted.
The UBI Caucus is still going. Like, we still have congressional candidates that are maybe viable, probably not, but who gives a shit? We're going to work with them anyway, right?
Yang said this morning, I'm going to be out canvassing and knocking on doors for the people in the UBI Caucus. He said this morning.
Is that what he said?
Yes.
That's righteous.
Yes.
He's going to be out there.
I did not know that.
Those folks.
Well,
So.
it'll be interesting in two regards, and that is, it'll be interesting to see who he throws his energy with, and also he's available for a VP. I'm just saying,
And Bernie actually entertained that idea last night. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't Bernie. My bad. It was Mike Bloomberg last night.
Bloomberg did.
Who was very complimentary of Yang and said, he was asked and he said, yeah, we would absolutely consider it. He's got an amazing following and great ideas.
Honestly,
I know. Virtual, huh?
Anybody who picks up UBI is going to have my interest. Because
Well,
anyone who doesn't is admitting they don't understand what's coming.
Well, we've been saying this from the very beginning, and that is that, we called it on the show where we said, Yang doesn't have a snowball. Well, anyways, I don't want to even bring up, I'm not trying to rip the Band-Aid off again. But, we wanted his ideas to continue forward even after he was, gone and out of the race. And I think that is working. I think that, being the fact that we have a UBI caucus is, like, outstanding. Like, just that idea alone. So that just goes to show you that these ideas can keep going. We saw this with Bernie, right? And this first time, this is stuff that is still part of the conversation. And I love this idea. And I think that he might still be able to continue to keep these topics alive even though he's out of the race.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely the
if not
the
more.
Game.
Like, he might actually
right?
be, instead of getting shut down all the time now he's probably going to get more coverage that he's out than he was getting in.
That's a total possibility. It really is. What's really fun? The UBI Caucus was started by a guy by the name of Ryan Blevins.
Yeah.
And it was started on a podcast called the Moving Forward Podcast.
Really?
This is like the tooting of the horn. Yeah, that's when we was like brainstorming about it or whatever. You can hear me in the episode start screaming out that it needs to start now. There's 38 members of the UBI Caucus now. And one of them is a Republican presidential candidate.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who we also interviewed, who doesn't have any near a snowball chance.
Who would that be?
Zoltan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Best
really?
name in politics by far.
Yes.
You're a nerd.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And we've been saying, like, throughout the duration of this era, that 6 years ago, if you were talking about Medicare for all, you were a voice in the wilderness. Nobody wanted to hear it. Nobody thought it was reasonable or feasible. And I think that now that it's solidly in the Overton window, now here comes UBI as a concept. And I think that there's been an enormous amount of public education on automation. That it's not coming. It's not a future threat. It's here. It's here right now. So it's a thing that we're going to have to consider. And
another thing that I think could end up being pivotal in this race, Bernie Sanders did adopt one of Yang's ideas. It's called democracy dollars.
Yes.
And that basically is where you take 0.67% of the military budget, or around $25 billion, and give it every American $100 per major election cycle, so every 2 years or whatever, to give to any candidate that they want. And that smashes, because we're not going to be able to rescind Citizens United. That's actually going to take a constitutional amendment. It's not like that. That's a possibility down the road, but it's not going to come very soon. Democracy Dollars actually just nukes it. It like almost 10x's the amount of money that gets spent by corporations that are people. With that,
Diane Ellis is saying
see you tonight. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Okay, so yeah, like, this brings me to talking about Bloomberg for a minute. And yes, I'm really super unhappy about the audio that has surfaced. It is in line with his thinking at the time. We all kind of knew that was where he was.
Yeah.
He has made what I feel is probably a sincere apology for holding up. That was a bad policy. We hung on to it for too long.
Sorry, what?
Mike Bloomberg.
Oh. With the stop and press thing?
And I'm going to limit what I say about Mike Bloomberg today.
For now.
But what I do want to say is, yes, we all agree that it's a terrible idea to have billionaires who could buy the presidency. But as long as that is the rule, as long as that is the method, we need to think seriously about if those billions of dollars are going to rid us of this plague. Do we take the money? And my answer is yes. We take the money. We take the advertising. We take the constant hits to the ego of the
So this is
the
the
current
thing.
occupant.
And if Bloomberg were to come around and back something like Democracy Dollars, that would basically be nuking his own capacity to do it again. I don't know if anyone has the capacity to email him like that. That could be the pivot around where you do this. Now we could be in a very serious. And I honestly, if I had to guess, I think this is where we're going to be. It's gonna be Bloomberg versus Bernie Sanders after Super Tuesday, and so we're gonna be in the situation where Bernie Sanders, who's got a massive amount of grassroots fundraising support, is gonna be up against the guy who can throw $2 billion at a race before breakfast and not care, right? So like that, it's an unfair thing to have to do to our revolution and the people that have been working so hard with the Bernie campaign, but. These are the rules that we currently sit under, and I mean, like watching Bloomberg steal half of Biden's support among African Americans nationally in less than 2 weeks is insane. And the assessment that I've heard that kind of sticks the most, because I personally don't get it, is that they're looking at how do we beat the frickin' Nazi supporter in the White House, and whether it's somebody who can coalesce all the moderate Dems who make up the vast majority of the Democratic Party, whether we like it or not, and I don't mind it frankly. But he has more money. He just functionally has more money.
I really hate the fact that I love Bloomberg's ads. Am I the only one that?
No,
honestly,
no,
he's spending as much money on designing them as airing them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So okay. One more thing that I'm going to say about this before I stop talking about it. It's one more.
Sorry,
thing.
I almost spit my coffee out all over the
I have
area.
it on good authority that I have heard a number of candidates say I will get behind and support whoever the eventual nominee is.
Right.
But
This is huge. I know we're
really good indicators that is not only something that Mike Bloomberg is saying, but he is putting in motion a system to make sure that his organization, if he's eliminated or drops from the race, is paid to go to work for whoever the nominee is.
That is the biggest thing to me. Like, as far sorry.
Yes, no, I can't say how I know that or from whom I know that, but it's believable, and I trust the source. So that needs to be in your calculation. That let's say that by the Super Tuesday, he doesn't win enough delegates to be viable and drops out of the race, but it's really looking good for Buttigieg or Bernie Sanders. The money that you're seeing spent on behalf of Mike Bloomberg right now is likely to be spent on behalf of whoever that is.
Yep. Yeah, and like if it's Bernie Sanders, great, right? Like the idea that if you're gonna throw, and this is where for me, screaming about getting money out of politics for the longest time, like I am entirely aware that I'm diving headfirst into a Faustian bargain, right? Like that's clearly what I'm doing, but at the same time, right on the same day as the New Hampshire primary, we're trying to figure out if we are legitimately falling into a banana republic in real time. So how I feel about money in politics does not come close to a 7-2 Supreme Court. And anything that can get in the way of balancing that out is something that we need to be really, really focused on, even if it's another billionaire's $2 billion. And the fact that, like, Barr. We've been screaming about Barr being a totally captured subsidiary of freaking the Trump mafia for a long time, but it's been proven now. Like there's no question in any way, shape, or form. We've all of the prosecutors in the Stone case literally resigning out of protest that from the top, from Trump himself, which is not supposed to be how any of this works, is applying himself to basically pre-pardon Stone. Anyway.
Yeah. Also,
checking out comments.
Worth reminding ourselves that John Mitchell, Richard Nixon's Attorney General, went to prison for perjury, obstruction, and conspiracy. So that's not out of the realm of possibility. The problem is that was when we had a Justice Department that acted independently of the president. And for all the yelling and screaming I hear about Bill Clinton from Republicans, I would remind them that Janet Reno was obstinately independent from the Clinton White House. Sometimes in the case of good things and sometimes in the case of bad things, but that's what the Justice Department and Attorney General are supposed to be. Independent and aloof from the White House. That's
how you do justice. That's the
100
whole
years of how we've done
whole
things.
idea.
So, Maria, read an article last week that the Trump campaign is setting up to spend close to $1 billion of dark money into a massive misinformation campaign. That is correct, and that's why, we can maybe not be excited about Bloomberg as a candidate, but as a war chest, it's
And he is
no.
legitimately committed his war chest to the Democratic frickin' party.
Yeah,
right.
I love
You know
that
who
idea.
hasn't done that? Bernie Sanders. Right now, did he do a lot of stuff for Hillary Clinton? More stuff for Hillary Clinton than Hillary did for Obama? Yes. Right. That's a thing. But at the same time, like that, there is a power disparity because of how screwed up our system is. And again, democracy dollars would go by far the farthest way to solving that. But I mean, this is where we live right now. The idea that Trump can get reelected on a wave of horseshit, which is exactly what he's going to do now, and replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg and somebody else, so that the 7-2 Supreme Court lasts for the rest of all of your lifetimes, is unacceptable. It just is, right? I'm not excited about Bloomberg's freaking politics at all. But none of that matters. It just doesn't matter.
But don't we kind of think that if he were the man, that he would probably nominate Merrick Garland to be on the Supreme Court? As you know what I mean? Like,
that's the thing. Like, Merrick Garland is like fucking milquetoast centrist, right?
Right.
And we already have two. But again, like, better than anybody that Trump is going to throw in here, because he totally would. Of course he would. But like that was never a win. Merrick Garland. He's a corporatist. Now, granted, he's not going to legislate, Republicans owning your womb. So there's that.
He also has not been incredibly accused of sexual assault of women while he was drunk.
He's into Reaper.
He's an alcoholic. Kavanaugh's an alcoholic. Take a look.
And
Functional alcoholic.
an angry piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Merrick Garland versus anyone Trump's going to pick is like 1,000 to 1 disparity. Probably more.
Well, I'll tell you who I trust to nominate a good pick for the Supreme Court would be the editor of the Harvard Law Review.
Sure.
I'm thinking Barack Obama probably had a better read on who would be a good choice than you or me. And he chose Merrick Garland. So,
yeah, he also picked a Republican idea for healthcare, so maybe not.
Picked a workable idea.
He did not, since it's not working.
The thought of a 7-2 Supreme Court is just nauseating and terrifying.
It's
why
Handmaid's
are
Tale,
we not
period.
screaming this from the mountaintops right now?
I am.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Give me a mountaintop.
Seriously, this is legitimately terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Yep. Jen said reading Ezra Klein's book, Why We Are Divided, it's basically depressing shit, and that we are ruled by the system, and it's not about people, it's about which people have figured out how to rig the system in their favor. It's just demoralizing. So listen to, he actually went on Mindscape, which is a really fun podcast if you like multiple universe astrophysics type of conversations. But he actually went on there, which was really fun.
Wait, Ezra Klein or
Ezra Klein did.
Really?
To talk about his book, yeah.
Excellent.
And it is really good. One thing I
He's
would
on my
recommend.
friends list, Ezra Klein.
That's
yeah.
cool. Which, for the record,
The
that's
connection's
true.
weird, but yeah,
That's
pretty sure.
Greg is now officially cooler than me by a lot, which we kind of knew already. One thing I would recommend though, because that is depressing shit, listen to The Wilderness, because it is both depressing shit and the way out. And I haven't finished it yet, but I know it's going to be good because it always is. John Favreau, who made The Wilderness from Pod Save America, is he was actually just on the Chris Hayes podcast. Why is this happening?
What?
On Tuesday, it just came out. So I would highly recommend digging into that stuff, because that's how we're gonna get through. The first season of The Wilderness actually came out before 2018. Greg kept telling me to listen to it over and over and over again. I kept fucking blowing it off, and then I started listening to it. And I'm like, why didn't I listen to this a year ago, Greg? Why didn't you tell me to listen to it sooner?
And I did.
At which point,
By the way,
I should have
I'm
punched you in the
catching up on
face.
season 2, and I listened to the one about the Southeast, and there's a lot of Stacey Abrams and Florida organizers who I know in this podcast, and it's really amazing. Like, it is so on the money about what's happening in Florida.
While I would love for Bloomberg or somebody else to pick Yang as VP, if you said would you prefer Yang as a VP or Stacey Abrams as a VP, I would pick Stacey Abrams every day of the week.
I disagree.
Really?
Yes.
Somebody clip out that like Dino and Corey don't take. Whoop whoop.
I want Stacey Abrams to continue to do exactly what Stacey Abrams. No, she's not as vice president.
Wouldn't
She
you
has
want her
more
to have
power
a
to do
much?
that.
I don't know that that's true.
I absolutely believe it. Where is her power to direct a conversation as vice president? She's not a legislator. She's not a governor.
She's got the bully pulpit, and she's out doing. Have you heard
The
that
bully
woman speak?
pulpit?
Like she's
Yes, I have.
very, very good.
And I want her to have the freedom to go speak about it 320 days a year, which she would not have when she was vice president.
I see where you're going with this. I see where you're going with this. Because really, you do lose a certain amount of power, right? Or influence as VP.
The thing is, or even as campaign manager, the work. Fred's why her as VP. Listening to Stacey Abrams and the fight that she had to prosecute in Georgia to get as close as she did. Her understanding of what the kind of Democratic ground game is going to have to look like versus a Republican Party that will absolutely break every single law to stop you from voting. She's better at it than anyone else. True. And if you listen to her speak, like if you're, I would love to hear some independents listen to her speak and decide how they feel about it. Because as a Democrat, when I listen to this woman speak, I want to get out and volunteer. And if we don't have people that are and Yang did that as well, right? But for everybody, not just for Democrats. She's got an epic capacity. And
she can rally the troops like nobody. I mean, if she doesn't motivate you, you're not living. You check your heartbeat.
The effort that she started in Georgia is now in 22 states.
Yeah.
And just
and
the Pod Save America listeners
yeah.
raised $3 million towards that effort in a little under 6 months.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's important.
Yeah.
Mom said Stacey Abrams can do both jobs with one hand tied behind her back, and I agree.
But being in the cabinet, being the vice president, limits what she could do.
I see what you're saying.
And I don't want her limited now. I want other young women to be inspired to step up and do what she's doing in their own states. And let's not forget that.
That's a really good point.
What's that?
Casey Marion.
When you look at the difference between Stacey Abrams and Beto's reactions to losing their races, the distinction couldn't possibly be more stark.
True.
Absolutely true.
Fabulous idea.
And Andrew Gillum has started a similar effort here in Florida.
Yeah.
Right? There's a big organizing anti-voter suppression effort.
Yeah.
Andrew Gillum is running here in Florida.
Yeah.
So,
like Stacey Abrams came out and said, "This is not a concession speech because I don't fucking concede to illegal shit." Be like, yes. Yes. Now, granted, like there wasn't really any of that stuff necessarily that somebody like Beto. I mean, Gillum probably could have. I think there was a lot of people stricken from the roles. But the fight that they had in Georgia was truly insane. It was like really bananas. I don't know what that was.
I don't know what that was a reply to, but anybody in a race is fair game. And I'm not seeing it because I'm not as focused on that specific candidate as you are. But he's taken a lot of shit for decades and he's standing up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the Bernie model.
I personally don't think there should be this dichotomous reaction in the Democratic Party to you know, it's either sort of us or them, like in the two different camps or whatever. I think that's kind of ridiculous because I think they agree far more than they don't. And to a certain extent, Bernie Sanders talking about uses pretty divisive language that you're either with us or against us all the time. Yeah. That's not how to knit together a Democratic Party.
No, it isn't. And I don't like the divisive verbiage.
Yeah. Well, but again, like the rest of the party does it right back to him too.
I know, but
it's not like everyone.
And this is what I mean. This is a systemic issue. You know what I mean? This is a party problem, and that is, with us or against us idea of candidate for candidate. It goes against what we're trying to do here, and that is like, no matter who wins the primary, we want to throw our support behind them.
So Jen Racketa's comment is worth exploring, and she used to write erotica. She used to write science fiction erotica.
Science fiction erotica, like
that's just the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's real. She's
right. Yeah,
So
I agree with
Katie
Porter too.
If you haven't heard her long interview with Chris Hayes, turn this off and go get it.
Hey,
no,
I'm not even kidding. I'm not kidding. It's much better than this.
Well, of course it is.
Even though this is really good. But yeah, no, they end up talking about that, and just I'm just a huge fan. So I am really curious to see, the idea that Yang was saying he's going to start working with UBI Caucus people now.
Right.
No, hey, I'm stoked about
I
it.
am going to be writing that in my gratitude journal after this because that's a huge deal. Because I was wondering what he was going to do, and I'm still wondering like who he endorses is going to honestly probably get a lot of my personal attention.
Well, no, exactly, and that's I'm very excited to see what goes on there. But I have a feeling that he's not going to throw any support behind until somebody wins the primary. I kind of feel like he's not going to like.
It could be, but if somebody comes out, if somebody comes out and there's two left and one of them backs UBI.
Yes. Yes.
But it would be smart to not,
Casey
jump in too hard.
I hope that everybody, is on UBI. I hope that there's two left and they're both into UBI. I mean,
4 years from now, we could be in that situation.
Casey reminds me that Greg, y'all dogged me out for taking a dim view of Beto's navel-gazing post-loss election actions.
Truth.
That trip he was on was privileged and petulant as fuck. Yep.
Yeah,
I'm
totally wrong.
wrong. I'm also gonna own that one because that's a thing.
I even made a negative comment in the thread on that one. I totally do that.
Yep.
Brandy Goyette, we would love to have you come and join us on the show here soon.
Agreed.
Speaking of all
things
right in the world.
The idea that Bloomberg was a Republican not very long ago, I'm sensitive to that.
Or that Trump was a Democrat.
But I haven't dug all the way into it. But I'm telling you right now, to me, who is going to win is the only thing that I care about.
That's true.
Because when you look at the kind of judges that Bloomberg would put in, the budget that he's already put out is a very, very in line with a centrist Democrat budget. It's not Republican, and that's just a thing.
Fred's asking, is it possible to see UBI in this election?
I
don't think it's.
No.
I don't think so.
Except that with Yang talking about actually backing the UBI Caucus members, we could have a very tiny contingent of people. But at the same time, our work, Fred, is not finished. In any way, shape, or form, we're gonna be collecting, anybody who was part of the Yang Gang, part of that movement, who wants to keep doing things moving forward. I mean, Scott Sands was backing UBI for 6 years by itself, right? So to have this whole thing happen the way it's happening, worst case scenario, we're just going to back that guy up, right? Watching what Yang does and how he, takes this energy, he's got to know, I would say 80%, 85% of the people that I see that were part of the moving forward to the thing are cool, now what? We're ready now. We're not quitting. We're not stopping. So,
hey, I'm watching this conversation about who used to be a Republican. I voted for George W. Bush.
The idea that Warren is a corporatist means that, it's silly. It's silly.
No, this is not just about Warren.
No, I know, but and Lelena, look at how this looks. You're either with us or against us. We're all Democrats, right? So what does that look like? What are you trying to say? Right? Warren's platform isn't good enough. Have you seen it? I have. It's awesome.
It's pretty awesome.
Right? the last thing we need to be doing is telling everyone else they're not democratic enough, especially people that are following an independent.
I don't want us to get sucked into this debate.
Right. It's a stupid debate.
I want us to be absolutely clear that any of these candidates, regardless of who they were in the past or who they have been even recently, is a better option than the current occupant of the White House. That is the only calculation that matters in this 4 years. Right? 4 years from now, we find out that President Mike Bloomberg is a Republican.
Of course he will. We primary him.
We primary him.
That's the thing. Like,
then we run Stacey Abrams.
I'm telling you, if Bloomberg gets elected, I will start a primary campaign for Yang the next day. Right? Seriously. Like, that's it. I get that it's ridiculous.
But at the same time, that's who, if he wins the primary, that's who I'm supporting.
It doesn't matter.
I am going to be
that,
hitting the road.
Yeah, that compared to Trump, it's just not in any way comparable.
Right. I mean, I'll vote for a cucumber. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, the whole point is making the change. I mean, come on. It's anything is better. Anything is better. No matter who it is in the Democratic Party, they win the primary. It's better than what we have right now. It's better.
Correct.
Silly to be divisive any other way.
Yep.
Just taking it's my football. I'm going home. That shit sucks.
It's not a good look. And honestly, I'm gonna be working on the entire 50% of the Yang gang that was like that because it's bullshit.
That's what I told Corey last night. You'd be thinking that I get those people.
And also, like, I'm not.
Our bus.
I probably won't get as many as I would like, but I'm gonna get some of them.
Yep.
And
you need
also,
to ask yourself who's more likely to take a serious look at UBI as an important thing.
I would have said Bernie Sanders.
I don't think it's the Republican Senate.
Like, Bernie Sanders should be backing UBI, of course, but instead, he wants to back a federal jobs guarantee that will eventually get run by Republicans as corporate slave labor. It's insane.
I don't like this idea. I don't like that idea.
And again,
I'm not sure what you're missing here. You're saying lesser of two, that's how we got here, so let's keep doing that, I guess. Right. Lesser of two evils is always the better choice. Whether we like it or not, it's less evil. You choose less evil.
Right.
Like, people that stay home or vote for a third-party candidate that has no polling that indicates they're going to move the needle at all.
You're shooting yourself in the genitals.
You're voting for greater evil.
There is no non-vote.
So we're all telling you that if Bernie's the nominee, we're going to vote for him. We're all telling you that if Joe Biden's the nominee, we're going to vote for him. We're all telling you we're going to volunteer for them and get on campus for them. And if Bloomberg, we're all saying that whoever the nominee is, we're behind. That means, you know what that means? We're behind Bernie. That's what that means.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I'm going to be phone banking for him, but it means on election day, if he's the nominee, that's where my support goes. And in the last 90 days of the election, I guarantee you, that's where Bloomberg's money is going to go. So you're arguing with people that will vote for Bernie. We will all vote for Bernie.
And honestly,
I mean, my vote is anti-Trump. That's what my vote is. My vote is anti-Trump. So whatever is going against Trump, that's what my vote is.
The people that stayed home have made the likelihood of a 7-2 ultra-conservative Supreme Court really, really likely. And honestly, there probably won't be anything worse that ever happens in American politics after slavery than a 7-2 Supreme Court that literally will bring about Handmaid's Tale. Because that's going to happen.
We've been saying this for years. Right here, most of the time at this exact table, and that is that we didn't do enough. We didn't do enough.
That's the whole reason we're here today.
I mean, this has been what we've been talking about, in that we decided, almost 4 years ago now that, we were going to do more, and that we were going to have this, I'm not going to vote because, or we're going to spread the idea that no matter who wins the primary, we're gonna support them.
Yep.
That's what we've been talking about for years now.
It has been pretty consistent.
And so it bothers me deeply that so many people are still not on board with that idea.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's where the
this is how we
travel
got to
thing
where
comes
we
in.
are.
Well, okay, Lenya, I get that. I'm arguing with people who have been and continue to bash the front runner instead of getting behind him and helping him win the nomination. That's what you're doing. That's what you and tens of thousands of other Americans are doing, donating enough money to keep that race not just viable, but eye-opening. Yeah. That's what you're doing, and good on you. But not everybody shares your view of Bernie. But what we are saying is that once you get that job done, and he gets the nomination, we're all in. That's
100%.
when we decide. That's when we all get to decide. That's when we vote for the lesser of two evils.
If Bloomberg is the front runner after Super Tuesday, are you just going to quit backing Bernie Sanders and support the front runner the way you're telling us to do with Bernie Sanders? Right? Like, you're not the only people in this party, and there are disagreements that are very real in the party. And as an actual Democrat fighting for this team, I think it would behoove us to pay attention to that and leave room for that. It's not a simple thing, right? Yeah.
I also think you're worried. I think you're probably worried about the anointed Democrat. It was pretty clear now that didn't work.
Right.
That's not happening. So it's a wide open field, and that means that we're all free to vote with our hearts in the primary, as Virginia Rupert said.
Yeah. Backing a billionaire, Lolita. I'm not excited about that. Like, I'm not. No one should be.
No,
I'm not excited about that.
No, but at the same time, look at the other side of the argument. Not being excited about Hillary Clinton, me personally, I take responsibility for the fact that I did not do enough before because I had, there was an imperfect candidate. And Lillian, a centrist can't win.
Obama was a centrist.
Yeah, go take a look at Trump's negatives. Any Democrat can win easily. That's the math.
No, I don't know that. As progressives, we should know that. I want a progressive to win, but I'm not going to not vote or stay home because a progressive isn't the nominee. I'm not going to do it.
If you can't unify the Democratic Party, we will lose. Doesn't matter how progressive
Can you honestly tell me that Hillary Clinton would have been a worse president than Donald J. Trump? Because you're asking me to make that calculation.
It's never dull.
So I just can't do it.
Would we still have lost to the EPA? I can just go on and on and on and on and on and on.
We would not be staring a 7-2 court in the face.
Right.
There's a lot of things that would have done better if she had won.
Fetal percentage. Yeah. Pretty soon, hair follicles will have human rights. Anyway, you hear they're going to start using CRISPR like cancer?
Yes, you did mention.
I just wanted to talk about that again because it's more fun than this.
Yeah. Lots of things are more fun than this.
Yeah, seriously.
Hey, Lori Bersani, I'm glad to see you up and out today. She's been down sick for a bit with that horrible flu thing that's been going around. Okay, of course she would have been better, but she lost. Right, but except for the part where there was massive interference on the part of the Russians, and the Electoral College exists,
and Jill Stein voters, and people that were disaffected in a party that did not coalesce as much as it could have,
and people that literally voted for Trump because they can't stand the idea of a woman being president. There's lots of reasons why Hillary lost, and we got to fight all those reasons, not just the one.
Yeah, agreed.
Hey,
we got work to do.
Yep. Good. Have a good day. See you around. Love you, Lilania. I know you don't think so, but we do.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep. Honor and respect.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. Although in Virginia, if that's really true, Buttigieg and Klobuchar would not have done so well. But I'm sorry she's leaving because I want to remind her, Bernie won the 2016 Iowa caucus and New Hampshire primary.
Yeah.
Right. He won both of those races.
Yes.
So why are you so frightened if he's the obvious front?
But that's the thing, like, if you're not doing more than 50%, you're not the obvious front runner shit, right? Like, he's got an extremely passionate core that will max out at 35% of the Democratic Party, and the rest of the party. The only reason why he's got a really good chance, because he does, he's got a really good chance of winning the whole thing, is because the rest of the party is split up.
Right.
Casey Mary makes a really good point. Centrists are the ones that flip the districts from Republican to Democrat. None of those that flip went to the progressives.
Okay, that's actually not true. There are progressives that ran that flip red
all the
districts.
Justice Democrats lost except for AOC.
That's not true.
Okay, who were the other Justice Democrats that won?
I'd have to look it up, but I remember there were examples where actual progressive flipped districts. It's not 100%.
Okay.
Still not enough.
Now, don't get me wrong, like the Amy Klobuchar, centrist battle of Democrat, whatever the hell you want to call it, is a phenomenon that is real. Like that. I can't argue that.
Well, okay, how many of those progressives that you're talking about flipped, like, historically Republican districts?
Not zero.
Look again. Let's talk about that another day. Yeah. Susie says there is no obvious front runner. There's not. I agree. I 100%.
I think this race is a jump ball of that proportions.
Yeah, John Van Meter reminds me that AOC beat the incumbent Democrat. There was never ever a Republican in that fight in her district.
No, she's being primary too, right? AOC's being primary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that.
I don't think it would work.
Well, we're going to find out, Susie. Where did the Yang Gang go now? That's Corey's.
We were
Corey's
just talking about that
area of expertise, and he's going to be.
I had so many people ask me that, like, who's the Yang in the back? Who are you guys going to go for? No. And here's my answer. I don't fucking know.
No.
Good.
Here's what I do know.
Kareem reminds me of rural Montana. There were seats that turned over in rural Montana. Governor as well. I think.
Yeah, I think so. It's not an impossible thing. But I also think like the strength of the actual candidate is everything in that. Progressive is going to swing a district like that. It's huge. So that's it. Like it. We don't know. What we do know, and thank you very much for telling me this morning. Gang's going to be working with the UBI Caucus. So like I was already talking with Rio last night about what we're going to do, what we're going to be moving forward. Obviously, we're going to be advocates for the entire moving forward platform and evolving that. But there are candidates running on that right now for the Congress, so we're going to be backing them. Anytime Scott Sands needs some help amplifying his message, we're going to be doing that. So like the things where we already succeeded, bringing the UBI and a lot of these other ideas into the Overton window, there's no reason why we would stop that promotion, right? And we don't have a candidate for president right now, but now we get to ask all the candidates who's going to step up and actually be the candidate who's going to be looking to the problems that we're going to be facing in the next 5 to 10 years. Because unless you're seriously considering UBI, you're not paying attention to automation. I would love to be proven wrong on that.
Right.
Because there's a possibility that that's not the case, but I haven't seen it yet.
Heather St. Amand Klein is joining us. She is my partner in organizing for Our Future in the last cycle, and actually was responsible for me getting asked to go and work there. So thank you very much, Heather. Is there you got any events coming up? You want to put them in the comments? We'll yell and scream about them. They're out canvassing not for specific candidates, but for progressive causes. For Our Future is an amazing organization, and I feel very privileged to have worked for them. So, Heather, you got anything you want to tell us about that you guys are doing in Pasco County, or even in the state more broadly? We're happy to entertain that.
So, do you think now is a time that we should be talking more about other races as well, like congressional races and things like that?
Yeah, let's talk about our congressman voting no yesterday on a bill that makes it easier for labor unions to organize.
Yeah.
That would be one Gus Bilirakis. And there is a local candidate running against Gus Bilirakis for that congressional seat. Let's talk about our state legislative races. A.J. Arestia has dropped out. Now Danny Angelino is the only Democrat running against Amber Mariano for her state legislative seat. We should absolutely talk more about that, and what we should do is have Kelly Smith on as a guest to talk about those races.
Yes, I think now is the time, it's essential that we, especially for us here in Florida, and especially here in Pasco County, we really need to, generate some serious momentum and energy around things around in this county right now. I cannot plead enough with anybody that's listening. We really need to make a difference.
Yeah, a couple things. Fred was asking about the Overton window. So the Overton window is a concept in politics where there is sort of an accepted window of ideas and policies that are commonly discussed in American politics, probably anywhere, but that's the context that we use it in. The best example is 6 years ago, Medicare for All was not in the Overton window. You were a crazy person if you were talking about it.
Radical leftist.
It was insane, you nutter, right? And because of the work that Bernie Sanders did, it's now actually part of the conversation. It's not a matter of whether or not we should do that. It's how we implement it into what level and whatever. So it's well established in the Overton window. What Andrew Yang did that nobody will ever take away is that now all the candidates are getting asked about universal basic income, which 4 years ago only I was screaming about that I knew of, right? It was very, very.
That means at town halls all over America, whether we're talking about presidential elections or congressional elections or Senate elections, candidates are going to get asked, do you support UBI?
Right, it's in that range
so it's
now.
in the range now of things that is common people are going to ask about.
A massive win.
Yeah. It's a middle. It goes from radical fringe, poorly understood, better understood and somewhat accepted, and then the other way toward right-wing ideas. So there's like the Overton window is for a centering of an idea in the public consciousness. So when you see polling that says that UBI or that single-payer healthcare polls 70% of Americans are in favor of it, that shows you where it is in the Overton window. That 8 years ago, polling on it would have been 10%.
Yep.
Now it's 70% of Americans. That's because once the concept is out there, it's better understood, and people get to learn about it and say, hey, that's really a good idea. So we're saying that we think that's what's going to happen with UBI. So
I mean, that has happened with UBI. It is now being discussed, and it's on polling questions. Right. That's how I kind of think of the Overton window. It's like if you're not in the polling questions at all, you're not on the window.
Right. Yeah, 100% agree. Susie McAnally, I would really like to see Kamala Harris as Attorney General. Woo! I get behind that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am behind that right now.
Especially considering, like, the next day she's like, so hey, Kavanaugh, let's maybe open up all those books again, please.
Yeah, Kimberly Walker is the Dem that's running against Gus Bilirakis for his congressional seat.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. Last time around it was Attorney Robert Tager, local attorney, all around good guy. So Kimberly Walker's running against Gus, and he's going to be really, really well funded.
And also, I just want to put this out there as a veteran, because I know this is a big deal, but Walker is very pro-veteran.
Is she not a veteran? Why did I think she was a veteran?
I don't know.
I
I
can't
can't remember.
knowing,
but she's very pro-veteran, and she has some great ideas about making some amazing changes.
But Gus tells us every week in his newsletter how pro-veteran he is.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Thanks for the dental coverage for veterans, which is state by state. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
So I don't like this, but I do need to give it props anyway. AK-46 is pretty funny. Maybe photo. Yeah. I mean, don't go with that.
But she is a veteran, so that's good to know.
Yeah,
She
that's
is?
cool.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I love this.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah, she ran in the last cycle, but I didn't get to meet a lot of the local candidates because I was working for an organization where I really couldn't spend much time with them. But she ran, so she's it's not her first race.
No, not at all.
And she's picked a really important one. I actually thought her friend Beth Weinstein was going to run against Gus, but she decided not to. So
You were right.
is that the nitro iced coffee stuff?
Yeah,
It's
like,
nitro cold brew.
So Dino, who drinks caffeine like it's like normal water, I brought the nitro over. He's like, yeah, that's too much caffeine for me. I'm like, oh, what? Ruh-roh.
All right, ready to wrap this up?
No.
No.
I don't ever want it to
Okay.
end.
Okay.
No, I'm just.
Yeah, well, you gotta get Minecraft downloaded.
I'm living this.
Start
I'm living the
building
dream.
some stuff. Yeah. 45 says he is pro-vet, but ripped off a veterans charity, not just one.
Yeah.
He's also telling the military they should punish Alexander Vindman for doing his fucking job.
Don't even get me. I can't.
Yeah.
I really was hoping that wasn't going to come up as a topic, but I cannot. I just can't. I can't. Cannot. Because this is why I wish that the president, which is the head of the military, right? He is at the top of the lake.
Right.
Why he is not susceptible to the UCMJ, which is the Uniform Code of Military
Universal
Justice.
Code. Yeah, he would be.
So like,
He'd be kicked out of the military for some of the things he's done.
and you have
That's a
responsibility.
norm I could totally get behind that.
There is when you do something wrong, when you have an infraction, when you violate the UCMJ. One of the articles is in Article 15. It's kind of like being written up. You might lose rank. You might be confined to quarters and things like that. My troops, honestly, 45. I would have hit you with several Article 15s by now. But the thing is like to this whole like you're against me. This sounds communistic. Like where we think that the Pentagon should punish a soldier for speaking his mind and doing what is right is not that is not the military that we want.
In fact, what he did was not just speak his mind; he spoke truth to power.
And he
And
lived up to his
only
oath.
after being subpoenaed
Right.
by proper channels.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. I mean, we in the military, whether you, no matter what branch you're in, you know that you have it's not just a right to do so, but it is your duty to speak up against receiving orders that you feel that are not that go against the
Illegal
oath that you
orders.
took, and you have a duty to do that. And now you're going to punish him for doing things the right way? That's ridiculous.
But he's not.
Not
he's
just
not,
the fact that
yeah.
not that he's going to get punished,
Yeah.
but the idea that you suggest that
No,
is
I mean,
criminal.
The whole idea was they were trying to make up some excuse about it not actually being
Right.
a punishment or a retribution, and then Trump just came out and said it.
Yeah.
Because of course he's going to do that.
I
Right?
want to address something Susie said here. The president, although the commander-in-chief can only move troops, not declare war, so these powers are a little bit limited. No, they're not. Not right
anymore.
now.
Yeah.
Like he's already overridden.
That was the
He's
idea.
already overridden court-martial processes for serving military members. That's not his job either. That's not something he's supposed to be allowed to do either. But he's done it, and I don't hear any Republicans yelling about that.
No,
They
he
don't
has a
respect
new
our troops
role in
enough
the
to-
chain of command.
Yeah.
His roles in the chain of command are different now.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy. This whole factor of Twitter being like a tweet being an executive order is ridiculous to me.
So here's the thing I didn't hear Trump do. Last year when we were treated to a viral video of a troop carrier in Iraq carrying a Trump flag, I didn't hear him say, oh, they should be acting in a political fashion and they should be punished because it was pro-Trump. See the difference?
Yeah, yeah.
If he's going to characterize Vindman's actions as punishable and political, then why isn't he doing that when troops illegally put political banners on their vehicles? Now, those soldiers were punished by their command structure,
Yes.
but the president didn't get behind that.
He loved it.
Didn't tweet about that. In fact, I'm pretty sure he tweeted out the image.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right.
Complacency is a serious issue on both sides of the aisle right now. You know, you as a if you are in the GOP and you are complacent out of fear, you need to go. If you are a Democrat and you're complacent, you need to get fucking active right now. Like, complacency is a virus, and this is what we've been talking about, not doing enough. And there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reasons why we need to be more active right now. I mean, I'm not saying go back to the list, because the list makes me really depressed, but there are endless reasons why we need to be doing more right now.
Yeah. I have less and less confidence, Susie, that the courts are going to save us from anything. Example, today.
Yeah. Exactly today.
So,
The courts are, I mean, and I am angry, hurt, and depressed with losing faith in the courts. I've lost faith in the three branches of government. I've lost the checks and balances don't exist anymore, and that bothers me that I've lost faith in the way things work.
yep.
I don't like this.
Yes. Yeah, 45 tweeted a Curb Your Enthusiasm clip of Larry David wearing a MAGA hat, thinking that he was a supportive gesture. It wasn't. Larry
No.
David's been
No,
mocking
I was
him.
Watch
like,
the episode.
I think Trump might have known, but he knows his supporters are dumb as a box of hammers.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what, you're giving him a lot of credit.
Yeah, sleep well, Maria. Sleep well tonight, kids. Susan Collins says he's learned his lesson. Yeah, he did. He learned a hell of a
He
lesson.
sure did.
That he can pretty much.
I
do
can get
whatever he
away
wants.
with anything.
Yeah. If you aren't having daily panic attacks, you aren't paying attention. Hell, sister, I'm listening to that. I've become a chain smoking fool since all this has come up.
Church on Sunday.
Yes.
It's on the YouTube, but now that you've got a Bang and Laugh app, we're going to get you in the actual space.
Yeah.
Because honestly, having you in there is going to be more fun anyway.
Yeah, it's only $27. That's happening.
Yeah, it's not. It's worth it. I mean, we spent a ridiculous
Maybe.
amount of time.
Like I said, sorry, ladies.
Yeah. All right, man. I'm ready to get out of here.
Yeah, me too.
Fair
Go
enough.
I need more coffee.
Stuff and things and have some lunch. Figure out what to do until 5 o'clock when I go to work. So, yeah. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks for wearing your
Hey,
Vote Fest shirt.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I throw a couple of plugs out?
Yeah.
Drum Circle tonight, local vote, Zenfinity. 7 to whenever they kick us out. And there is yoga before Drum Circle, which is really, really cool. And then it's going to kind of join the Drum Circle a little bit later for a meditative movement to drums and all of that woo-orific stuff. But the Drum Circle is a kid, pet-friendly, alcohol-free environment, non-judgmental, safe place. So come and hang out with your community. You don't need to drum, you don't need to sing, you don't need to dance. You can just, chill and heal. Amazing teas. Zenfinity is the community hub here in Pasco County.
Interestingly, like during and right after my tenure with Before Our Future, it's sort of like if we could had that coffee house London vibe where we all gather in the dark and wear berets and smoke cigarettes and talk politics and revolution. So that happens.
Yeah.
My table is often very interesting at the Drum Circle. I've been there a lot.
Yeah.
You'll come by.
Yeah, Drum Circle's really, really good. I mean, this is kind of the epitome of grassroots and community bonding. I'm very, very blessed to have the community get behind this Drum Circle, which face value is pretty. Is all about fun, but it's actually really, really amazing. Another thing too is on Mondays I have a mindfulness meetup at Zenfinity. That is the new home of the Mobile Mindfulness Library of Pasco County.
Nice.
So you can come in and pick up a book. And what we do is we sit around and we talk about non-religious, non-woo ways of mindfulness to utilize in your daily lives to be able to deal with the way things are going. So,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Which is exactly the concept behind Church on Sundays.
Yep, pretty much. So yeah, and as we've determined on this show, the Orange Yeti is real.